Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This time around we're back in the workshop because we've got a brand new build to start, and it's the 92-inch AJ Raven. Let's get to it. So guys, let me give you a little bit of background. The AJ Raven we're about to start building has already been started. Been started by a good friend of mine, Andy, who you know as Burns from the channel. You've seen him fly. He bought this model during one of the COVID lockdowns, but then got distracted by building some of his jets because he's more into jets. I've offered to finish it off for him to give me a chance to film something different for you guys, and to also just take a look at an AJ kit and maybe compare some of it to Extreme Flight, which is what I'm used to building. So first off, let's take a look at the model. So here she is, currently without cowling on. Just a green and black scheme. I'm not sure if they do other schemes, I think they do. It's currently sitting amongst a few of my other models at the moment, so I will pull it out or pull the stand out before we start building. That's a quick look at the fuselage. Then we go back to the bench, have one of the wing panels out here. All very nice. If you've not seen this kit before, it's the black here represent the wings from the Raven bird. And if I spin over to the cowling, you actually see the head of the Raven on the cowling. All very nice. And here are some of the components that are going into the model. So let's take a look at those now. Okay, so first off, radio gear. We're going to be kitting out with the servos 1270s as per normal. I mean, I use these in most of my models when I shoot. Really good servo. Yeah, what else to say? Some of these are already fitted. I think the ones in the wings are already fitted. So I've got a handle here to do the elevators might fit as well. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But there's servos. He also flies Futaba. So we've got the R708 SB receiver. Of course, we have the XPwr 60cc motor. I've just recently fitted one of these to my 91-inch extra NG from Extreme Flight. Loving it, love it. Real quiet motor, especially with the prop that I have, and lots of power. So there's the motor. We have a Castle Phoenix Edge 160 ESC. Okay, same setup as my NG. That's all ready to go. So we're popping that in there. I have a bunch of, show you a few of these, various different size Extreme Flight servo heads. You've seen me use these before, guys. So they'll be going into the model as well. Various washers, different components, rods, bits and pieces, just bits of the hardware pack that come with the model. As far as I understand, you get all the hardware you need to finish off the model. So it's just a case of installing your own servos, ESC, radio, motor, prop, what have you. Talking of prop, first off, we've got a really nice carbon spinner. We can't see it too well through. It's a nice carbon spinner there. And of course, we've got a Falcon carbon propeller to go on it as well. So let's take a quick look at that and see what size this one is. 24 by 9. I think I'm running a 24 by 12 on my NG, but 24 by 9 is what's going on here, so be interested to see what difference that makes. Looking good. I do love the carbon props. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is finish the wings off. Let's go on with it. Here we go, guys. The first wing panel is now done. So it was just a case of checking over the servo. I went for the 1.5-inch servo arm on there as well. Checked over all these joints, they're all fine. Hinging was already done by Andy, so that's all good. Servo wire comes out the end through the grommet, that's all good there. And we're getting a nice amount of movement on the servo about installing it. Should be fine. Plenty. So I'll just check the second wing now, and then we'll move on to the tailplane. Okay, so guys, the tailplane is also now done. It was already hinged, which is great, by Andy. It's not part of the kit. Horn was already on, so I just made up the rod, got it in there, checked all the servo over, and they are fine. So we've done both of those, which is really good because we're now on to the fuselage. I think we'll start off by getting the closed loop installed. Okay guys, so I managed to get the model up on the bench. Closed loop slots are already cut out. So we're going to go ahead and thread in the closed loop wire, connect up the rear linkages as well, and then put the servo in the middle here with a nice 4-inch extreme flight arm on it. Hey guys, I just want to quickly show you this as we're prepping for our closed loop here. What I tend to do is put all the linkages on first. So I've run the wire through the fuselage, just taped it up so I don't lose it. And then my next step is to put the linkages on and then check how far the brass fittings are going inside the linkage. And I do that just by making note by using another one there. And of course, then I can measure the gap to make sure the other one's on the other side. My next step will be very much to fit the servo inside, which I've already done. Attach linkages to that as well. So everything's ready to go. So the very last step is really just threading the closed loop wire through and getting it nice and tight, which I'll show you shortly. Okay guys, so now I've got all 4 connectors in place, one each side of the rudder, one each side of the servo horn. I want to show you the process that I go through to do these. Now it might be different, so if you use a different process, just let me know in the comments below, share that. So first off, I'm going to use a piece of heat shrink, and I'll show you why in a minute. Then next, I'm going to put the tiny aluminium keeper through the wire. And now I'm going to thread the wire through the absolutely tiny hole in the connector here. Now if it doesn't go through easily, just give it a little twist as you're pushing through. You'll find it will go through. Then next, I want to get enough wire through I can loop it back through the keeper twice or 2 more times so it can't pull back on itself. So normally it's just rough distance there, so I use the rough distance from the wire back to the bolt there, like so. It should be roughly enough. So first off, we do the easy one, which is just going through. Hopefully you can still see that. Bit of fingers and thumbs here. So there we go, so we've got it through now. But what I ideally want to do is just loop it back through 1 more time. This is where it's test to see if I've got enough through. And that's really just going to give it a little bit more help to stop it pulling off. I mean, that to me should be fine, but if I go through 1 more time with the wire, it should be perfect. So to do that, pull it in, and I've not quite got enough here. Just give me a little bit more length, so maybe 1.5 times. There we go, let's try that 1 more time. Typical when I'm on camera, I haven't done it quite right, but that's part of learning. I'm going to loop it back through from the rear. Some of you might find this is overkill, but it's worked for me. It's worked on all my models so far. This is a particularly closed loop system that I don't normally use. It's a different make. So I'm just hoping that it will go through. And there it goes. So if I just use a pair of needle nose pliers, I'm just going to pull that wire through. And there we go. So we effectively end up with a loop through. I will move my fingers in just a second so you can see it. And we can squish this down a little bit further. And that is it, and that's going to give us a nice tight. So I've not even crimped that yet, and you can see I'm pulling it with all my might and it's not going anywhere. I've not yet crimped. So the next thing I want to do is just crimp, and I'm going to do that under loop using pin nose pliers again. Try and get a good squeeze on there. Oh, like so. So that is definitely not going anywhere, and then I'll tidy it all up with a little bit of heat shrink. I'll cut the end off before I do that so it doesn't come out, so I'll cut this. Let's do it now. I'm happy with that one. See, these are sharp enough. There you go, there goes that. Push that through over the top of the brass as well. My hands are very hot, and this heat shrink I think is just
squeeze through, but you get the idea. There it goes. I won't push it over all the brass because you might need to adjust this, because you can obviously spin these in and out to tighten the closed loop, something that I do after the first half a dozen flights. But once that's pushed on about halfway, I'll heat that up and gives me a nice tidy connection, and that isn't going anywhere. So I'm going to do that on all 4 and that'll be the closed loop done. But let me know in the comments below if you do it any differently, or give me your thoughts. So there you go guys, that is the end result. Nice and tight. Hopefully you can see. So a couple little tips then for you. You saw the way I did the closed loop earlier on. Closed loop, yeah, that makes sense. Through the keeper, bit of heat shrink, but also you may have noticed I've just put a bit of tape on the wire as I was doing this, and that's really to stop the keeper and the heat shrink sliding all the way back down inside the fuselage when I'm trying to wrestle with the wires. Obviously that's going to come back off in a minute, but just useful little tip that I picked up along the way. And the other one is as well, is to actually tape the top of the rudder as well, so the rudder can't move while you're connecting the final 2 pieces up. It's okay when you're doing the back, obviously. When it comes to doing the front, you want to tape the rudder first, then you want to connect up to the servo, just so the rudder's staying in place. And that I am pretty pleased with. Let me know your thoughts. Right, so next, it's time to move to the front of the model and get the motor and the ESC bolted in. Okay guys, so it's time to mount the engine. Now in this model we're going to be putting the XPwr 60cc. I think I've already shown you guys, all ready to go here. Now the nice thing is that AJ, who make the Raven, supply, well, we'll put centre lines on here, but the real nice thing is they supply some templates. So to make the drilling a little bit easier, so if you're fitting a 3W50, here's your template you can put on, and then you've got the engine mounting holes as well as a centre hole to cut out for the engine. If you put in a DA 60 or 70, same thing again, you just literally line this up and you've got your centre lines, holes to cut out for different linkages and what have you, and also your main drilling holes. Now the thing is, we're not doing either of those. We're going electric on this bad boy. But luckily for me, the back plate on the XPwr 60cc is the same alignment as the DA 6070. So I'm going to double check that by just unscrewing the back plate, but I've already taken measurements from the centre of the holes on the back plate and compared them with the distances that are here and here. But I'd rather measure twice, cut once. I've learnt the hard way before. Whip this off quickly, make sure it lines up properly, then I can use this template to get my markers on and drill through. And of course I won't be mounting the engine directly to the firewall. We'll be using standoffs, putting that way around. We'll be using standoffs to bring it away, so we need to make sure our distance from the main former back here to the front of where the spinner goes is correct as per the cowling, which is also marked in the instructions. So 6 3/4, no, 6 3/8. Well, okay, it's been a while since I've done Imperial, I'm a metric guy, but 6 3/8. So we'll get that all worked out as well, get that measured. I'll mount this first and show you that mounted with the standoffs that I'll be using, and then yeah, hopefully after that it should line up, hopefully dead center with the spinner on the cowling, if I get this right. Let's find out. Okay guys, so I'm part way through doing the standoffs for the motor. I'm just checking where we are with the cowling at the moment. So cowling's fitted loosely, standoffs fitted loosely. I'm really checking the spinner gap. I just want to show you this because I think it's important that you get the right spinner gap. If I slide the spinner back plate on, you can probably just see there, if I zoom in a little bit and spin you round, there we go. So I always check this part of the process. I adjust the spacers, which I'll show you in a minute. There's a couple of spacers on a bolt there that come with these Extremeflight X-Blaze standoffs. But just go for a couple of mil gap. Where's my rule? So part of the process, obviously there's a little bit of right thrust in here, so the gap's bigger on one side than it is on the other side. So always look for the smallest where it's like to pinch. And I've got about 2.5mm gap there, which you might not be able to see on the rule. I'll go down a little bit more. Yeah, so this is where the closest angle is, the closest part of the spin and the back plate is. It's further away here, so check that gap there. And it's about 2.5mm there. So whiz that off now and just show you the adjustments. There, so you can see, this is why I use these blades and stars, because they are adjustable. So you get different spaces you can take in and out. This one, it tells you the range they go to when you buy these, because they do 3 different sizes. So it shows you each range for each size. So make sure it's about right before you buy them. And then you just move the spaces in and out. And they even give you a second set of bolts as well. So if you do need to wind them all the way in, you use the shorter bolts, they don't touch together. So just dry fit it to start off with, no Loctite, get it right like I've just done. Now I'll take it back apart, put Loctite on the back bolts, get all the spaces in, put Loctite on the front bolts, and then it's done. Okay guys, the motor's now done up tight, fits perfectly. Time to mount the ESC. So I've marked out where the ESC is going to go. I'm just going to put it this way around, over the top of the servo hole for the petrol version. Roughly there, and then I'll work out exactly, probably put a hole through or through side here, maybe open that one up for the wire to go through with an extension on it into the wire lead. But I'll talk more about that in a minute. But first off, just thought I'd point out the spare parts. So I'm going to use these leftover parts from the mounts from the standoff to actually just raise the ESC very slightly off of the ply there. So they'll actually go here as spacers, so on and so forth. And then I'll just bolt through into a captive nut underneath to hold it in place. And that just allows airflow to go underneath as well as through the ESC. So let's get that attached now. And there we go guys, ESC is mounted just on those standoffs, a tiny gap underneath there. There we go. So I've still got a bit of wiring to do here, tidying up these wires, put this heat shrink on once we know that the motor's going the right way around, which I can't do yet until I've finished off this end and done the wiring harness as well, which I haven't made up yet. So we're using a wiring harness in here. So off the QS8 connector we go into a Y lead. This is going to be 12S to 6S packs 6000s. And off of this as well we're running, just about to see it, the wire coming down here into a back. So no separate packs in this. The owner wanted to run everything off the main flight packs. It's fair enough. So we've got a little U back there, and of course the receiver wired next to it. A little bit more tidying up to do with the wires, but it's getting there. So next, really, I'm going to crack on with the well, put the cowling on so you can see the finished look, and then we're going to get the graphics on the fuselage and the wing and the tail. Okay guys, so it's finally time to add the juice to the Raven, and by juice I mean the graphics. So as I said at the beginning, we've got graphics by B&E. I'll put the link below. Not affiliated to B&E, just graphic packages that I like the website. I've explained that before. Actually, there's a separate video all about the graphics and applying the graphics, which is also linked in the description below. But let me show you these, which will be going on the Raven very shortly. Okay, so let's have a close-up look. So obviously still got their backing and the front on so far. So we've got a couple of Futaba in the matching green. Actually, matter of fact, all the stickers match the colour scheme, which is another advantage of getting them from B&E Graphix, even chuck in a couple of their own. So a couple of Futabas, a couple of AJ aircraft to go on. Got some nice big AJ Aircraft Raven stickers to go on as well. 2 of those. We've got a couple of powered by DA70. Of course, we're not powered by DA, we're powered by XPwr, so we'll probably leave those out. But we have this absolutely massive AJ Aircraft Raven sticker, which is going to go across both wings. So when the model's up in the air, you can see it across the wings. So we're going to probably skip out most of the V, and this will get cut out because that'll be where the fuselage goes, but you just have the tip either side showing. And then one on the right panel, one on the left panel, so when it's up in the air, it'll look pretty cool. So I'm going to get those applied now. Again, I'm not going to show you them being applied, so check out my other video where I've done that already. Get those stuck on so when we go and work out the CG of the model, we can see what it looks like. Guys, I'm just going to show you this first graphic going on here. And You've seen this in my videos before, but when I'm applying these, it's really all about measurements. And I measure multiple times before you lay the graphic down. So on this one, what I've actually done is I've used the tailplane bolts as a straight line down the side of the fuselage. So I've drawn that line, then I've come 2 centimeters above that, and that's the way I want to put the center of my graphics. I've measured the height of the letters to mark the center. I've got that on the line here, all the way down. That's obviously going to come off when it comes off with the front of the graphic, and that way I know it's in the right place. And I've also done is measured 11.5 mil from the front tailplane fixing here as well. So when I go on the other side, obviously the graphics are the way around on the other side, because the R will be down this end, spelling Raven down the fuselage. I get it in the same place. So just a little tip here, when you're applying graphics, just measure lots before you put them on, and you should be able to go wrong. Right, I'm going to squeeze this out now, get the rest of them on, and I'll show you what it looks like. Hey guys, so now the graphics are applied, it's time to get the Raven assembled so we can see what it looks like for the very first time. Unfortunately it's a bit of a dark day today, but hopefully the colours are coming through. It's looking good so far. So let's get the wings bolted on, tailplane bolted on, and take a look. And there we go guys, for the first time, the model is together, graphics are on. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Check the graphics from B&E. I really think it finishes it off nicely. It's actually looking really good. That green is really bright. Again, I don't know if it's coming out very well on the camera, but it's a really nice bright colour. See it from the front. We've got the head of the Raven. There, nice straight wing. The sticker on the wing was pretty difficult to do because I actually had to cut the sticker in half and work out how much of the V would come out either side, so the letter spacing was still correct. That was a little bit tricky, but I think it's spot on. Looks good. So the next step is to set up the model on the transmitter. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to set up 3 flight conditions as per the recommendations in the instructions. So let me show you the manual quickly. So guys, back to the instruction book as well. So you can see they've nicely provided 3 different conditions there: low rates, medium rates and high rates, and the movement on each of the control surface rail, elevator, aileron and rudder. So I'm going to go ahead and set up on the transmitter now. So guys, that's it, we are all set up. So firstly, low rates as per the recommendations. Just gradual movement, not much going on there. Medium rates. Loads more happening here, especially on the elevator, or both really. Rudder's the same as well, gives extra movement. And then full high rates. Loads of movement. Couldn't quite get the ailerons to go to the recommended position on full rates. I might need to change the servo head underneath, just give me a bit more movement there. I think for now it's good to go. Also configured a throttle cut as well, so I can use the throttle at the moment and see that the motor's not going, just for safety, as I'm in the garden and I'm by myself and the prop is on. So that's it for this one, for this build. We are good to go. Next time you see this plane, it will be its test flight, which will be a separate video. So guys, hope you enjoyed this. I've got 2 more builds coming up, well, actually 3 more builds coming up. A couple of extreme flight planes to start off with, and the Edge and the Extra, smaller versions. We'll be cracking on them very shortly. That's coming out, or they'll be coming out, and of course the main flight of this one. And I've just published a video of my Krill Extra 330, which I'm also hoping to fly very shortly. So please like, subscribe, comment below. I'll see you next time around.